and welcome to Portman Road. This sound indicates an important announcement.
I think we deserve to win the game because we did most of the game. As I said, we started the game really well. They got a goal, the penalty, which was a penalty, and they sat really deep, really defensive. And which is a prerogative to play that way. And we've just got to be patient to break it down. A lot of good play, a lot of good ball, and we get a just rewards. And some things I was happy with, some things I wasn't happy with. But all credit to the guys because we kept on going. So really happy with it.
Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to your Sunday's edition of the Talking Town podcast with me, your host. We are, of course, sponsored by iwantonetwork.com. If you are a business owner in these tough times, and it is a tough time, and my heart goes out to you, but Networking 90 are there to help. Just head to their website and find out what they can do for you. So that was Paul Lambert there. I've titled this episode The Lucky Escape. I want to try and title every episode moving forward and get you guys to come up with suggestions of episode titles. I've labelled this one The Lucky Escape. What would you call it? What would you call yesterday's game? Drop it in the comments section as always. I am, of course, will be joined by the usual contributors, but I also want you guys to contribute. I want you guys in the chat giving your town thoughts, and I want you, if you'd like to, come on the show and share what thoughts you've got. I can already see some comments are piling in. As always, guys, you can help support the show via our Ko-Fi links. If you want to become a Talking Town Hall of Famer, I have got something in store for those that have already donated or given some money, so thank you ever so much. I've got Lee Brown. Good afternoon, Martin. Good afternoon, Lee. I hope you're well. Nick Muller's in the room. Good afternoon, Nick. Victoria Henderson is here. Brilliant. Put up a pew and get a glass of bubbly on the go. Callie, more we see of Sears and Judge makes you wonder why we let Rowe go. Yeah, where is Danny Rowe? Can someone do a quick Google search? Where is Danny Rowe hiding out these days? Stephen Peck, tough result as we were so lucky. And George 03, good afternoon. If you are watching on Facebook and you would like to get involved, you do have to click a link just to give us permission to use your name. Otherwise, you will come up as one of the famous sons of Mr. and Mrs. Facebook user. But that's fine. It's entirely up to you. He's a free agent, says George. And Radman, good afternoon. Right, without further ado, let's bring in our first contributor for the afternoon. Let's go with Mr. Flash Photography. Here and he's got some new technology working on the go. Cruncher Moss bringing that hard truth.
And no beard.
Hock says unreal intro for the Cruncher. It is one of my best intros I've ever made. Every time I hear it.
Ali's called me Babyface already on Twitter this morning.
Babyface. But we can't have a face turn. You've got to stay heel. Because, you've got to be the bad guy. They've got to be the bad guy.
Always heel.
So, obviously, you weren't on the match day ticket yesterday. That was Rob, myself and Amy. Talk me through what you feel about yesterday's game. Obviously, Paul Lambert was there after, in the clip there saying, kept playing, kept plugging away and got the result that we deserved. How did you see it?
First of all, we thought it was a great full-time show with Amy and Rob. And I know Amy gets a lot of stick, but I thought she was she's always spot on with her comments. And I know we don't always agree on everything, but I think she brings real good value, to the show. So big shout out to Amy. As for the game, underwhelmed. I was discussing last night on Twitter with everybody. I could not get excited when we scored that winning goal. And I know it's different. We're sitting at home.
You what?
Look, if we're in the stadium, we'd have all been going mental. I get that. But I just felt so flat. I really did. I'm not saying, look, I'm happy we won. Stone cold. If I had a shaved head, I might look a little bit like him. But other than that,
Oh, behave yourself. What's a
but-
load of old trope?
look, the 3 points at the end of the day is the big picture, or the small picture. But the big picture is we struggled once again against an average side. And I think I put on the chat last night to you two, if Shrewsbury had a bit more about them, they would have beaten us, Martin. They would have beaten us.
You know what I'm going to say, though, don't you?
Go on.
If me grandma had wheels, should be a bike.
Look, I know that, but we are getting away with it massively. They there was a bit on Quest last night talking about Ipswich. I think Colin Murray said like we've won 6 games at home, and the fans, we're not happy, and I'm not happy.
I am. I'm delighted. I don't know how you're not delighted. Your team
How
won
can
a
you be-
game.
How can you be delighted with that performance?
I'm not delighted with the performance, but as I kept saying to you in the WhatsApp group, it's 90 minutes. The game is 90 minutes. I don't care if you play for 5 minutes and come away with 3 points, quite frankly. It's
Yeah,
a
but this is the
90-minute
problem.
game. We won the game of football.
Yeah, I get-
But how can you sit there and say you couldn't get excited for a winner? Like, we've watched Blackpool last season where we got robbed. Freddie Sears, 1-on-1, should have buried it, should have killed the game. They went up the other end and nicked it from us. We've had so many robberies take place against us.
No, I know that.
It's
I
about
know that.
time.
Ultimately, it is about the 3 points, but I look deeper than that, and I look at the teams we've played so far. When we've played anyone decent, yeah, I agree with George there. If we win the next 2, it will be a great win, but we cannot keep performing like we are at the minute at home. We're a 45-minute team, Martin. We are. And
It
if we
should be a
play like that,
5-minute
if we
team.
play like that on Tuesday night against Hull, we will get battered. We will.
No, I agree with that. Hull are a good side. I'm just going to bring in the media mogul. Let's see what he thinks of it as I'm getting people asked for links. So I'm going to start doing
Anyway,
that.
get on the buds. Second one of the day.
Jesus. It's 20 to 2. It's
Smack
20
it
to
together next time.
Mr. Phillips, the tag team partner for Hard Truth. Just before you,
Get
jump,
the tables. Get the tables. Keep going.
just before you do, I've got Edwina, who we won't win the next 2, simple as. Graham Tate, Ipswich midfield is the problem. Andrew Arbon, if we play like that against Hull, they'll be out of sight at half time. The Facebook user, why can't Lambert be honest? We played poorly and read our luck. Just full of the same rubbish. Slightly more challenging questions, and he got shirty. Get real. And obviously, Leando thinks the beers explain what Crunch is talking about. Talk me through what you feel. Surely you got excited at a last-minute winner.
I've never celebrated an Ipswich win less as I did yesterday. It was embarrassing. Come on. I'll put some words down here. Turgid, uninspiring, pedestrian. To be honest with you, I would rather we had lost that game this day or hadn't won it.
You can't say that.
I've just said it. It's giving everyone false hope. It gives everyone false hope. We're going to get turned over this week by either Hull or Charlton, or by both. Or by both. It's given everybody false hope. It was embarrassing. I said to Rich phoned me up yesterday, see what I was thinking. I remember when we used to celebrate goals against Inter Milan. Alan Armstrong header in that end.
It's actually
Those
the
two
anniversary today. The anniversary today, mate.
Well, there
yeah.
we go. How funny that should be. So in that very end, where we scored 2 of the most ridiculous goals ever. I mean, that own goal from Keenan Bennett's cross. I gave a little fist pump, and then I couldn't even be bothered to celebrate Jack's goal. I just felt embarrassing. Our standards had fallen that low.
No. This is the problem we're getting in. People like yourselves can't celebrate a win because you can't separate your hatred for Lambert.
No, it's nothing to do with the manager. Nothing to do with the manager.
I just don't think he's right for the job. By the way, the remit from Evans this year is to play entertaining football. Come on. I was watching that game with absolute apathy yesterday. Disinterest, unenthusiastic. And I was thinking, kids like Richards, the Crunch Bunch, the 3 lads, they're itching to get back to watch games. Do they want to go back and watch football like that? That's our next generation of supporters. No. It's better things to be doing.
No, I think they'd be excited to go to a game, Matt. They would be excited to go.
To watch that performance?
I think we'd just be excited to go to a game because we haven't been for so long. And then we'd sit there after 5 minutes and think, this is crap.
There's just better things to be doing for kids. I wouldn't take my son, my little 5-year-old, when he gets old. He's not old enough to go. But I would not take him to Portman Road. There's better things to be doing than watching that. We're in. We're invested. We've been there years. We're in for a long journey. But if you're a kid, I would not take my kid to that.
See, I agree with Gary's comment there. You only laughed when that winner went in. Here he is, the main man. He looks well.
I'm a bit rough around the edges, mate.
I'm bringing Hox in because I want a bit of sanity in this conversation. Surely somebody got excited for a winner.
I think it's more relief than anything, weren't it? If I'm honest with you.
It's a winner, isn't it, really?
I wouldn't say I was jumping up and down with joy because I weren't really feeling it. But
you can't be celebrating that. You can't be celebrating that.
It's just more relief. If you're going on the subject of would you take your kids along, say you were paying on the gate or on the day for a match day ticket yesterday.
Yeah.
If you're saying for an adult, how much is it for an adult? Yeah, what, 20 quid, 25
Too
quid?
much.
25 quid each child. Say you got 3 kids as well. You're looking at what? Say a tenner a ticket for argument's sake, or 8 quid a ticket. I mean, you're looking at over 50 quid for what we produced yesterday. I know
but that's just your ticket, Jordan. That's just your ticket. Then you got your food on top of that.
Yeah.
You travel.
That's what I'm saying, mate. A day out. I mean, if I was to come from Lowestoft and I took like 3 kids with me and whatever. Well, I've only got 2 anyway, but you know what I mean. If I just imaginary one as well. You're
come in.
An expensive day out for that yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was bad. And I said after the Crew game, I thought that was embarrassing to go away after Crew dominated. A team that got absolutely demolished at Portsmouth 4-1 yesterday, by the way. But I thought that result was embarrassing. This was just like a real low point for me. I don't think I've been that gutted after an Ipswich result. And we've won the game, by the way, when we lost to Millwall on New Year's, remember? And that was the 3-2. And I thought to myself, we're getting relegated here. And I remember I couldn't listen to the radio. I drove home in silence back to Essex. I thought, this is it. We're going down. And yesterday, I just thought to myself, this club is going nowhere. It's going nowhere.
Just flat, weren't it? So flat.
Even the guys who were in the stadium, like Andy Warren and Stu Watson, said it was really weird, atmospherically, no fans in there. He said it was really flat. Well, to Lambert, he was at Whirling Dervish when he first come.
Yeah.
You don't seem to give a flying toss anymore. It's a bit from his interview with Brenner yesterday. So Brenner said, was you kind of relieved that this was one of the easier games? We got 3 points out of it. He said, I didn't wake up this morning thinking I have to win a game of football. I enjoy my life. What? That's absolute nonsense. What manager doesn't wake up in the morning and think we've got 3 points to get today?
I thought it was interesting, Matt. When we scored that winning goal, there was only 2 people I see celebrating. It was Jack and it was Brett McGavin.
Yeah.
That was it.
The young lads now. That was great. It was a lovely little header. He was Johnny on the spot. Lovely little header. But it was just everything that had come before them. And interestingly, wasn't Chambers quiet yesterday? Chamber.
Yeah.
We all thought he might be the one that was injured, right? But for some reason, he didn't seem to be in the game. Not that I'm blaming Chamber for the performance or anything of that nature, but you wouldn't have thought he was on the pitch yesterday. It was really weird. I thought that was weird. Where was that leadership? You can hear his voice normally, but nothing was there, was it? It's just, again, flat. It does not bode well for this week.
Sitting third in League One, you've lost 3 games all year. Like, you've won a game of football which maybe you didn't deserve to win. I can understand what you're saying, it wasn't brilliant, but you won a game of football. I had to keep saying this. You won a game of football.
No, Martin. It goes back to what I was said 2-3 weeks back. That's in Spain, where Bobby Robson's Barcelona were winning 6-0 against Rayo Vallecano. All the fans had their white hankies out because they weren't satisfied with how they were playing football. The newspaper the next day said, this is not how we want to play football. We've won a game 2-1. It's not how we want to play football.
Standards.
Exactly. Standards. And they have slipped too far down under this regime, under Lambert. He don't want to be here, Lambert. I floated this either last week or the week before. I can't bloody remember. He don't want to be here. He's just here to piss Norwich off.
What says you,
He had falling out. So he took the job down the road.
What was your overall thoughts of yesterday? Overall thoughts?
Overall, win's a win. That's my overall thoughts, really. Win's a win. We struggled, though, didn't we? I mean, I thought Lambert was brought in for a certain way of playing football and stuff like that. And as we've said so many times, you can only play that certain way of football with the tools. And then when I like McGuinness, I do. I think he's got a lot to learn, hell of a lot to learn. But then you partner him up with Toto, and I think it's a disaster.
Right,
really.
He looks a shadow of the player that we was all kind of like taken by when he was with the Arsenal team.
Don't rate either of them. Don't rate either of them.
Richard's gone off McGuinness.
No. We're developing another team's player, but why? He has to be good enough to get in our team, and he ain't good enough at the minute. He's not good enough.
He looked better with Wolf next to him, though. He looked twice the player with Wolf next to him.
Yeah, he did look better. He did look better.
I'd have Wilson. I'd have Wilson every day of the week with Wolfenden.
No, never
Wilson. With Wolfie.
No.
Don't know.
We've got our own Jordan. We've got our own youngster at the club. He's called Corey and Dabo.
Oh, I agree, mate.
He should be playing.
All day.
Why are we developing someone else's player?
All day long, mate. I completely agree. I don't get what the comments were afterwards as well about Brett McGavin. What's that all about? What are you hammering him for? I just don't get it. Like
that was weird, wasn't it?
Question, and he accused Brenner of being too positive, and then Brenner asked another question, accused him of being too negative. I tell you what, something's
under pressure, mate.
Something's got on Lambert's goat this week. I'll tell you that.
He said, I've got him wrote down here. He said to Brenner, "You wax lyrical about Brett. My standard is better than yours. He's better than what he showed me today." Now, this ain't the first time. This ain't the first time, Jordan. He's thrown a youngster under the bus.
Oh, he's
thrown under the bus. He's thrown El Mazzuni under the bus. Wolfenden more than once. The kids with the squad picture at the start of the season. Now, that's our youngsters. If you're going to hammer someone like McGavin, come out in the press and say he had a decent game, and do it behind closed doors.
Yeah, I agree.
And by the way, everybody, in the Football League paper, guess who our man of the match was?
Brett McGavin.
Brett McGavin.
Well, he would be. But you want to keep the lad's feet on the ground. You want to keep him steady. You don't want to let him get away with the stars before he's even, had more than one game.
No. This is different level, isn't it? It was basically
Martin, and Lamberts is piss poor with the youngsters.
I love it. I know he bangs on about where he's played, but the four people here have never managed above Sunday level, and we're all banging on about how his man management is.
Listen to me. I don't see him ever commenting on Alan Judge, Freddie Sears, senior players who get away with it on a weekly basis.
Does he? He never hammered the old guard.
No, Judge never gets hammered.
We're moving on to those, but Jordan, as you've mentioned the GOAT, I'm going to move to the GOAT, and I know what Crunch's GOAT is, and I've got a special guest coming on to
get him on.
Martin, can I just say, he was implying that McGavin's only there because they can't play Dazelle at the moment.
Yeah,
which is not a very good confidence boost for Brett McGavin. He's played right in the two games we've seen of him. They hauled him after 45 minutes against Fleetwood last season.
What about Spurs? When he played him for 20 minutes and took him off?
Joke.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? That was weird. No.
Very weird, yeah. So, right, Jordan, we love you as always. Get better soon.
Good to see you, Jordan. Take it easy, bud.
How are you feeling?
I'm a lot better now. Bit rough around the edges, but I'll be all right.
Yeah, you take it easy, mate.
Right, well, I'm
good job them windows are safe as well anyway.
Oh, they're more than safe, mate. I wouldn't worry about that.
Perfect. Right, we love you. See you soon.
See you, mate.
Cheers, lads.
Right, let's have a go, shall we? Hang on. Let's get where is it? There it is. Are you a business owner? Maybe COVID-19's got your goat. Well, Networking 90 can help. Head to www.networking90.co.uk for more information. Right, so before we go any further, you weren't happy yesterday, Cruncher, were you? A few comments made on the match day ticket by one of our fans. So what?
Well, I didn't see it live because I was on the phone to my old man having a whinge, and I think I phoned Matt after that, and then I watched it on the replay because I was Jack's dad, Stephen, texted me, and he wasn't having a whinge because he says it's a fan show and he loves it. And it's all about fans' opinion. But then I've watched it back. Now, Ben, top man, agree with a lot that he has to say. But, so he was talking about Jack Lankester, who's just scored a 97th minute winner. We didn't get excited, me and Matt. I know it's 3 points. I know Martin was probably somersaulting around the living room. But, saying, I was waiting for the I told you so from you.
Game's 90 minutes. 97 minutes in this case.
he said, Jack Lankester, a good prospect, not that good. In a couple of seasons, he'll probably be playing for Swindon. Now, I'm not having that, because what we need to realise is Jack's just come back from 2 real serious back operations. He's been 18 months out of the team. When he came in the team, we remember.
Hang on. I think it's only fair that we get the person who made the comments
bring it in
onto the show. We've got the prosecution. We've got Ben there.
It's going to be like that Fabio Wardley knockout, Matt.
Oh, don't get me started on that. That was embarrassing as well.
And we've got the cruncher for the defence.
Hit him off.
Matt is the jury, I guess.
I feel like I should go and make a cup of tea.
Yeah. So you two, talk it out. Let's have it. Jack Lankester Academy.
Go on, Ben.
What we
okay, well, firstly, Cruncher, I've got to say you're looking very sharp today, very handsome.
Thanks. Do you reckon you'd look as young as me if you shaved that beard off?
I look like a 15-year-old. It's ridiculous. I can never get rid of this. Jack Lankester. So I'm going to lay out a proposition. You're going to hate it, and a lot of people are going to disagree with it. But here we go. So, like you said, he's had 2 lung injuries. I think he had his first start in 2018. He scored 3 goals and had about 22, 23 starts. My worry is, and it is like all academy players, we put a lot of pressure on them to perform. And part of that is because of the position that we're in financially, where we have to kind of rely upon, the emergence of an academy prospect. And I think when one actually comes up and they're, average to good, we put a gigantic amount of pressure on them. And I think a lot of it is the culture of Ipswich. You think the players that come through academies, Osborne, Mills, Burley, Walk, Butcher, Dizelle, and then look at even further products, probably more our generation, Richard Wright, Bramble, Scowcroft, Dyer, Wickham. We have a history of academy players coming through, and that's really, really bigging them up, thinking they're going to be well beating, when in this iteration of a generation, they're not. I have this kind of analogy I make where I say that, and you'll recognise it, that Freddie Sears is the 1.2 Fiesta on the driveway. It will get you from A to B. You know what you're getting, and it will do nothing more than that. For me, Jack Lancaster's a 2 litre Z-Tech. He's a bit better, but that's only because we don't know what he's capable of. He's a little bit more exciting. He can probably offer a bit more. But from what I've seen, I just think he will be good, though. I think he'll be a squad player. I'm kind of with what Amy said yesterday, and I agree with you, Cruncher, that Amy, I think, has these amazing insights, and I think they're so bang on that Dizelle to her is what Lancaster is to me. All the good faith in the world is not going to bring them past the level that I think they're going to go for. And I think academy players have this massive kind of get out of jail free card because they come from the academy. The 2 players that people moan about every week are Nolan and Sears, right? I'm indifferent to both of them. They are what they are. They come in, they do a job. They're neither abysmal nor they're great. But I guarantee if them 2 players come from the academy, they'd have a lot more leeway and a lot more forgiveness from the fans than just bring them in from another club. An academy. I remember when Kenlock first played.
Look at that comment, Ben. Does that make Scouse a reliant Robin?
I actually like reliant Robins. That's true. One that doesn't work. Yeah, that's right. Tax exempt. Kenlock, when he first played, everyone thought he was good. I remember the comments. He's pacey. He's got vision. He's solid. He's probably the most hated player at the club right now.
You said that about Kenlock.
Yeah, Kenlock's not great. But I remember the kind of the fanfare initially when he burst on the scene. The expectations were raised, and everyone sighs when he comes on. The 2 good academy products, I would say. So, what you think about Cruncher, Lancaster? I think about Wolfie and Downs. I'm looking at the sort of current, crop. Kenlock, Dizelle, Downs, Nyden, Wolf, El Missouri, Bishop, and Josh Emanuel. Of those academy players playing in the first team, I would put arguably 2. Possibly 3, but I'll put Downs and Wolfenden as the really genuine article. I think Wolfenden will.
And they've played a lot more games. Look
they have played
out the season at Swindon.
Yeah, I agree. They have played more games, but it's the. And it sounds awful to say after. Don't get me wrong, a 97th minute winner from Lancaster, and okay, it was a bit of a subdued cheer. I'm probably the same as Matt. It was a bit subdued. But I think we've all watched football long enough you just know who you think's going to go make it. Downs, I would say, and Wolf are the two players that would arguably Dazelle, only because of that kind of God-given talent he's got. But whether he has the mental, the mental fortitude to ascend higher. But what I don't want to happen is to make Lancaster into another Bowditch. Bowditch burst on the scene with, a hat trick. He was scoring regularly. People loved him. He was hyped to the hills. And in his own words, in I think an interview, was it earlier this year, he couldn't hack it. He said the pressure was too much. I never went on and done it, and I don't want to see that happen to Lancaster.
Message there from Lee on the screen, and I totally agree with that. Now, people hammer Dazelle. He's not had a run in the team. We're seeing this season what he can do when he plays week in, week out. And Adam Flatt there is bang on. If Dazelle played at high level with players on his wavelength, he would be a better player. Now, getting back to Lancaster, did you know that before he had his injury, he was on standby bench for England under 19. So he must have some quality to be on standby. He's had 18 months out. He's come back in the team. He's scored 2 goals in the last 2 games. Every time he comes on or he plays, he looks like he might do something. Gillingham hit the crossbar. Bristol Rovers, he came on, 2 assists. So I'm just thinking, I'm not really sure yet what Jack's best position is, because he sort of came on yesterday in the midfield 3. Mick Mills seems to think that he plays better on the right-hand side, which I would personally play in there. Yeah. So I think you're a bit quick to judge, because I don't think he's played enough games. I think he needs to play two seasons, possibly. If he plays 100 games, then we can sort of see where he's going to go. We were chatting before we come on air. Martin made a really good point. Josh Carson came into the team. I sponsored him for the academy with my mate. He was really highly thought of. Where do you play now, Martin?
In Ireland somewhere.
So I do take your point, Ben, that academy players get away with it more. But I think Jack, he just needs to play this season. Let's not put too much pressure on him to perform week in, week out, and see where he goes. But I think at the minute, he's getting that happy knack of scoring goals. If he keeps continuing that through the season, he's probably going to get 10, possibly 12 goals.
Yeah. I hope so. And I think, don't forget, Nolan and Sears have scored as many goals as he has, and they get lambasted every week. I would say just because he comes from the academy. I'm saying I want him to do well. One thing I think, we always start a debate with common ground. We all agree that we want him to do well. We're desperate to see him do well, and I really hope he does. And this might be a jumpstone to go on to the rest of his career. And this is probably where I come from. What I do as a job, I'm a psychotherapist, so I like to look at people and just hear them and sort of get a sense of who they are. Lancaster, he had a really good interview yesterday. You watched the interview after the game, and he comes across as a really nice guy. Erudite, well-spoken. I would say he's quite high in agreeableness and quite high in trade conscientiousness. And I would say the same thing with Downs. Now, Downs is equally, I think, people like that tend to be more introspective, more reflective. They don't have that gritty, nasty bit about them that I would say a lot of players need to actually ascend in their careers. Downs, was quite open last year about, a kind of a mental health issues he was going through with the expectation and the social media side of it. And I see Downs and Lancaster as actually quite same in temperament. I don't want this to have to say the same to happen to Lancaster. Every comment of every game, during, before, and after, is get him on the pitch, get Lancaster on, get Lancaster on. Never let down. Yeah, take it down. You got to ask who succeeds in football more and who succeeds in life. More often than not, it's the people that are disagreeable, people that are gritty, people that are going to fight that kind of nasty side. Lancaster, Lancaster comes across as a really kind of, nice guy, articulate, and I do think you need that bit of nastiness about you in order to achieve the highest levels. And do you know what? If I'm proven wrong, and at the end of the season he's got his 12, 15 goals, I would be the first to say, stand in front of him and say, boy, did you prove me wrong, and thank God that you did, because that means. So what is your
benchmark? Just to obviously round up the argument, what is your benchmark of a good season that you want to see from Jack before you say, okay, yeah, maybe he's better than Swindon, which I think is what you said.
Yeah, what I did, absolutely. My benchmark. It's tough because I quite agree with Punch that I think he should be played down the right. I think he's better coming in from the flank. But I would just like to see that kind of, and I hate doing the old trope of wrap them in cotton wool. He needs to be quite right. He's had 2 major, injuries. He's being sort of led back, and he's unfortunately been put into a team that is everyone is screaming for promotion. Everyone's destroying the team week in, week out for consistently shite performances. That's a really heavy burden to put on a young kid who's only just come back, who could make it. So I would say you put him in and out, and I say just be consistent. Like any player, be consistent, work hard. I don't think he's crap. I never said he's crap, but he's not as good as what everybody thinks he is. And there's a really big difference between those two things. I want him to do well, but just do it gently and managed. That would be my proposition.
Okay. All right, Ben, you put that really articulately. We love you for coming back on and giving that opinion. We appreciate you as always. Will you join us Tuesday?
Absolutely. Yeah, look forward to it. And
Good
when
man.
Lancaster bang for the hat trick, I'll be eating humble pie.
Yes, keep eating that crow. Ben, we appreciate you. Crunch, you heard Ben there. That was his sort of benchmark. What is your benchmark to finish off your argument on Lancaster?
Look, I agree with a lot that Ben says there. I do agree. 2 major operations, on your back. We've got to treat him a little bit with kid gloves, a little bit. At the minute, he's going to dip him in, he's going to dip him out. At the minute, he's probably going to have to play, because we're probably going to touch on the injury situation. So I think Tuesday against Hull, he'll probably have to play him. I think, look, if he gets 8 to 10 goals this season, look, goal scoring it's a happy knack, isn't it? If he gets in the right place at the right time, that goal there yesterday, he sniffed out a goal in the 6-yard box. He's there. The keeper should have done better, Matt. I think I could have thrown my cap on that. Should have caught it, but he's there. He's Johnny on the spot. He scored. Yeah. Scored at Sunderland. Should have had another goal at Sunderland. So just keep improving week on week. And look, he is a really nice guy. Comes from a good background. And I don't think you just have to have a nasty streak to be a success in the game. I really rate him. I think all 3 of us here are really big Jack fans. And we want him to do well. We want all our youngsters to do well. Brett McGavin, he's another one. We really want him to do well, but they do have to earn themselves a place in the team. They do. They can't just walk in. But
I do feel like Jackie's earning his place. He has scored 2 goals in 7 games or whatever.
I agree. He always looks dangerous. He always looks a goal threat, Matt, and I think that's a happy knack.
I do think we have to temper slightly our expectation on goals scored, because we've only scored 19 in the first quarter of the season.
Mm-hmm. But we've not had a fully fit side. Like yesterday for the first...
that was in 1 game.
But yesterday, for the first time, I know it wasn't a great performance overall, but towards the end of the second half, there was Bennett's on the field, there was Lancaster on the field, Jackson, then Norwood. You had the makings, I felt, of a team that could play really nice football, and Lancaster and Bennett's linked up a couple of times with nice 2-touch, intricate pass and move football. If you get an intelligent forward with that, a Norwood, a Jackson who's got pace, you're going to have the makings of a very good team. We've not had the team fully fit yet. We still haven't, obviously, because we've got injured. We'll get to those in a second. But yesterday, for the first time, you had players that could affect a game and change a game. And Lancaster is one of those. He's young enough to still be considered a game changer off the bench, not a penciled-in first-team starter.
You spin it around there. You just said we had game changers, Martin, but the other day, you disagreed with the 5 subs, where yesterday, it benefited us.
I still don't like it as a rule. I think it's...
I agree with it.
But yeah, those are the rules. You don't make them. You just got to find a way to exploit them. And yesterday, you can have one as a guaranteed injury sub, so MK Dons never happens again, and you can still make 4 changes. That's 4 strikers. That's 2 wingers and 2 strikers. That's 2. There's so many different permutations, and I don't know why football clubs don't, as a whole, start bringing more analytical guys to the fore and using their subs in a really analytical driven way. What affects how and when. And yesterday, for whatever reason, he made a couple of changes and they kind of worked. Bennett's particularly worked.
Look, I know
they didn't work.
Won the game.
I wouldn't say they're amazing substitutions. I wouldn't say that. Look, we won the game.
We won the game.
I don't think the subs affected it really. Did they? The Norwood and the Bennett's change, did they really change it, Matt?
Bennett's put in a terrible cross. He's air kicked it, and that lad, Ebanks Landale, has got in the net. And then, the keeper should have saved the other one.
How can a cross be determined terrible if it's gone into the danger area and then gone into the goal?
I would have thought you'd see better quality crosses from Richie's kids for Salston under-10s on a Sunday morning and that bloody thing that was put in. Come on, raise the standards. I'm getting fed up with it.
Yesterday, because we're a third division club with no money. In fact, no, scratch that.
The guy's in charge at the moment and the bloke who owns the club. That's the bloody reason why. Prove me wrong. The facts are there.
They are. Curtis Yates, Andy Tate, you won the game on a technicality of a legend who recommended you. I love Andy Tate. That's brilliant. Right, let's have some injuries. For those that are wearing headphones, you might want to turn it down because it does get a little bit loud. The ITFC injury report with Matthew Phillips.
I love that music. I love that.
Give us if it wasn't copyright, I'd use the casualty theme. So
I haven't got the list.
Matthew.
I've got a list here. I've got a list.
You got it. I haven't got the list.
Okay, the injury report with Richard Moss.
So we know we've got, I think, Tristan Nydam back on the grass. Aaron Drinan, or Drinan as we say it, back in training. Kane Vincent-Young, what did Lambert say? Yeah, he's doing well, but I don't think we're going to see him probably until after Christmas. Cole Scouse, another 2 months. New injuries. James Wilson's got a knee injury, picked up in training. Guion Edwards, hamstring, won't be available for Tuesday. Ollie Hawkins, I think he had a groin, then he had a knee. But he's doing really well, Matt. He's doing really well. And then obviously yesterday, John Nolan, Martin's favourite player. I think it looked like a groin, didn't it? So that's obvious.
Groin.
2 or 3 weeks, I'd have thought. You're not going to see him, possibly a month. And then, Teddy was the strange one for me because he got a whack just before half-time, didn't he?
Down the back of his ankle, weren't it? Yeah.
Right, so surely the medical staff would look at him at half-time and think he can't carry on. How long did he play in the second half?
5 minutes, less than that maybe. 3
They
minutes.
said it was a bad one.
When Lambert goes, it looks a bad one because normally he don't know what's happened, does he? Oh, I don't know what's wrong with him. If he comes out and says it's a bad one, he's probably done his Achilles. Wouldn't surprise me.
He's done for the year. Shut him down. He's done for the year.
We said it was a matter of time before Teddy got injured.
You always had that feeling, poor bloke. I
thought he was playing well yesterday as well.
Look, they nobbled him, didn't they? They nobbled him. He got kicked. I think in the first half he had a good run down by the dugouts, and then obviously that one before half time. So they knew he was a threat, didn't they? I thought he had a decent game. That, to be fair, in the first half, he was probably one of our best players. I know we were pretty poor, but he looked very good.
I do fear for Teddy. I do fear for Teddy because at this point of his career, he needs to be playing regular. And now you've got a salary. And now you've got a salary cap, and he's of a certain age. He's going to count against the salary cap wherever he may go from this point on. And you get the feeling that if you go down the pyramid, the kicks get worse. And if he gets one kick and is out for 6 months, so I really am of that mindset now. Where as a fan and as an adult man, I'm worried for this young player because he's now at the point of his career where it's that crossroads. And I hope it's not a bad injury. I hope it's, if anything, it's just a couple of games and he's back and he's fully fit and he's ready to go. Because when he's in the game,
going back to Ben's point, Martin. Go back to Ben's point. Does Teddy get away with it as well because he comes through the academy?
Teddy still lives off that one good year under Mick where he turned Middlesbrough inside out. But let's be honest.
Remember that goal, mate?
Yeah,
that goal?
That was a great goal.
Tabby's header.
Which one? Sorry, say again.
You Tab. The one against Middlesbrough where it was Bishop Chambers with a little flick, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, to J Tab header. Yeah. Good header. Pound it in. He's the same height as me. Yeah, he's a jockey now. That should have been a career I should have turned to.
We have got another Ipswich Town fan who wants to have his say. Is how best to describe this absolute legend of a man. He goes fishing regularly. He's come fishing for a few comments. It is Mr. Brown himself.
Good afternoon, lads.
How you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah. I watched the first half. How I stayed awake, I do not know. Second half, I was listening to it while working. We scored. I was like, okay, so we're going to get a draw out of this. Then we scored at the end. I was like, crikey, we got away with that one. You know,
Did you celebrate,
and then I
Mike?
was on the phone to the police because I absolutely reported. I had to report that robbery because that was pretty bad.
Did you
Let's be
celebrate?
honest.
Did you celebrate the winner?
No.
There you go.
I couldn't. A
was
part of me,
embarrassing, wasn't it?
I guess, like what you were saying earlier, Rich. You know, if you're in the stadium, you're like, yes, get in there. You know, you're bouncing around with your mates and other fans and whatever. But after the game, you're going to walk out of there and think, Christ, we won that. How did we win that game? And watching it on iFollow, and it, you know, and listening. Obviously, I listened to the second half commentary because I went to work, and it was just like, really, how, you know, oh God, I've genuinely the belief now Lambert's got to go. I hate the chap, not just because of who he was when he was at Norwich. I get sick of his interviews. The rubbish he came out yesterday. I mean, why are you pulling out a young academy player like that and demoralising him, right? When you've got players like Judge who are, honestly, right, they are top-class thieves because they are stealing a living. Sears is somebody. What was that? What car was Sears called earlier? Ford Fiesta, weren't he, or something?
Yeah.
1.2.
1.2.
It's a 1. Sears is a 1.2 with a misfiring engine.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect, but he offers.
No, you
nothing.
mean disrespect. Don't say that because you do.
No, well, I'm sorry, and you know, and when Lancaster comes, I like this player. I did watch the video yesterday. I wasn't best pleased with Ben's comment regarding his he'll only play for Swindon. It was a bit of I can see why I got your goat up, Rich, because that wasn't a great comment, was it?
I didn't like the comment, Mike, but we all know this is a fan show, right? So it's differing opinions, and this is why we all love football. Yeah. Because Martin up there, look, he loves King Lambert.
Yeah, that's why I was happy because yesterday I was this close to not being King Lambert, and I didn't want to come on the show and say right. So when I went in, I was fucking relieved. I'll tell you the truth. I was relieved as anything.
I just wish we hadn't won yesterday because it's just delaying the progress forward. Because every time we win, you can't sack Lambert off wins, can you? So we have to
remember Doncaster, Matt? Do you remember Doncaster at home when Mick was manager?
I would if I was the owner. I'd sack Lambert after that win.
You'd sack him just for turning up in the morning, Mike.
But he did play for Dortmund, didn't he?
He did play for Dortmund.
He played for, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was, yeah, he did. Yeah, top player in his
Won the Champions League or something, didn't he?
What was the Donny game you were going to say, Rich?
So the Doncaster game when Mick was in charge and McGoldrick scored a 92nd minute equaliser for 2-2. It was similar to that. I didn't celebrate then. And I'll tell you what reminded me of that game yesterday. AFC Wimbledon. AFC Wimbledon last season when we got away and we won 2-1. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah. It's just sad, isn't it?
Was Evans there yesterday?
To be honest with you, I've been thinking about this a lot overnight because, I was so pissed off yesterday. The laptop was down. I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't watch the full-time show. I couldn't be dealing with it. If you look back, all the golden periods of Ipswich have been quite Suffolk-centric. So with Bobby Robson, we had the Cobbolds in charge, Patrick and John. They were in charge of the club. Then with our next phase of success, we get into Europe with what we've done Premier League with Burley, Sheepshanks. At the moment, we've got a Norwich City Hall of Fame manager in charge, and the owner has no affiliation to us whatsoever, other than we were a good business model to maybe try and take into the Premier League. So I just think it needs a massive overhaul, and we need to regain that Suffolk spirit for me. That's why it's not working out. No one's there for the right reasons in the positions of power. That's why it's not working out. And it ain't going to work out. I saw Nick said earlier, what will you say if Lambert gets us promoted? He's not going to get us promoted.
You're sitting in third place. We need some perspective.
Well, that doesn't get you promoted.
Martin, what are you taking every morning? Because I'd love some.
Well, I can tell you because there's a faster range.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think it's quite. Mike Davey asked the same question as you're asking there. He says, Martin, why do you like Lambert? I'm sick and tired of this managerial go round, because what will happen is this, right? I'm not disagreeing with any of your points, because I think maybe part of me feels you're right. But the other part of me doesn't want to go through this every single 2 years where it's the manager's fault for not getting that star striker, for having his striker sold, for not getting the centre half he wanted, for the turnstiles being green and not blue, or whatever the excuses are.
That's football. That's football.
This club is rotten from here down. And it isn't going to change while it's still rotten here. If you change, it's not going to change. Lambert, while he has a lot of faults, and my God, there are a lot of faults I could go into, he is of a standard where you're not going to get too caught up in a.
Nothing in the game apart from Norwich. That is it. Look at his resume. Stoke City fans still use the hashtag Lambert out. They hate him.
He is.
So do Wolves fans.
Exactly. If you look at the stats, he's got our worst managerial winning percentage since Jackie Milburn in '64.
And he inherited the worst squad.
He
inherited
worse
the worst
than those
squad.
two managers.
What's he improved? What's he improved in 2 seasons? Give me something he's improved. On the pitch, not off the pitch. On the pitch, not off the pitch.
We are still recovering from from Paul Hurst. I'll say it.
No.
What are you not having? Look at those players yesterday. Is John Nolan? How was he ever considered a championship player? John Nolan and Toto Nsiala. I love them both, because they play for blue and white. But how could you ever look at them and think championship players day in, day out?
They're good enough to get us out of this league.
Out of the league, we're not staying in the league above.
Yeah. No, but they're good enough to get us out of this league.
Yeah.
We've got enough in our squad to get us to do well in the championship. I'm not saying we get promoted and do a back-to-back promote. Yeah, hell we have. Honestly, Ronald McDonald could run this squad better than Lambert. We're crying out for 3-5-2 or 4-4-2, right? And he's consistently. Yesterday's performance was worse than when McCarthy, towards the end of McCarthy's reign, and that's how bad it was. And yet we got to sit there. If I was a restaurant, we were served mushy peas with cold chips yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's getting away with it, Mike, because there's no fans there. If that had been fans in that stadium yesterday, he would have got it in the ear big time.
Half time, he'd have gone off red-faced.
I can't argue with you, because overall you're probably correct. My overall reaction is we're still recovering from Paul Hurst. It's simple as that, in my opinion. Junaid Danassian can't get in this team, nearly £1 million. Caden Jackson is not a championship striker in a million years. He's a good player, but he's not a championship.
Playing up on his own, though.
Yeah, but he's not in the championship now, right?
Exactly, because we're not in the championship anymore, because he was signed to replace Martin Waghorn. That's like, I'm not going to get into the analogy with that one.
Paul Hurst had 14 games. Paul Lambert come in, he had 32 games. There's normally a bounce to turn a team round. What did he do? Absolutely zero.
But
Adam Tanner said it. Adam Tanner said it, Martin.
But having a manager
in that white flag.
But that was an internal player issue, and you know that. That any manager probably would have had the same situation, because you've read the articles I've read. There was an internal players that perhaps just let's leave that where in the past.
Down tools.
You know as well as I do.
Your mate, down tools. You waved the flag about Bart. He give up. And that is disgusting. He is a professional footballer. He's not the only one, but he gave up. Because what? Because the manager dropped him against Norwich. I'm going to throw my toys out the pram. Not having it. I'm not having that. When you sign that contract, you're playing for Ipswich Town. Us four on here, we would absolutely give anything to get on that pitch and play for that club. And there was people in that dressing room, senior players, who down tools, and still they get away with it on this day, because people like Scouse. Oh, we still love Scouse. Freddie says they're absolute shit. They are shit, and they're still at this football club, and they're still not good enough, and they ain't. And we're bagging off like youngsters like Jack Lankester when Judge gets away with it week on week. Sears, they're still picked every single week by the manager. Where Where's everyone gone? Have they left me on my own? Because I'm having
No,
a rant.
I was giving you the platform. You were making some
Loving this rant. Loving
on
it.
a weekly basis. We don't pick him. We don't pick them. The manager picks them. Why does he pick them? Why does he pick them consistently? Luke Wolfenden, there's another one. Should be in the team. Should be in the team. I'm not having people saying, oh, he wasn't match fit yesterday. Chambers hadn't played for 2 weeks. Ward hadn't played for 2 weeks. He should be straight in that team. But Lambert, it seems like he's got something against some of the youngsters at this club.
You are right in what you say. A lot of that.
I know not to swear there.
But this goes back to my original point. The managerial go round is what ends up with what you've got, right? If you have managers come in every year and a half, 2 years, you get multiple players on 2 and 3 year contracts, and then you get this situation where he's got a load of players where I think if he was brutally honest, he probably doesn't want them. He doesn't want them. Well, I'm not saying names, but there's players on the last months and years of their contract where he's thinking, I don't want this player. But he's got him. Nobody else wants to take the wage off the book, whoever it may be. So you end up in this transition period where Emir Hughes, you mentioned the name, I didn't mention him, but you mentioned him. Is he really wanted in this squad? Does he really fit into the style? I don't know. I don't know if he does.
He'll have to play him Tuesday because he's got no one else.
But you've watched the documentaries I've watched. Players will go into the office and say, look, why am I not playing? And then you've got to try and manage a big squad full of players that have got international caps, full of players that have got their own pride, and tell them you're not good enough because the 18-year-old should be playing. It's a difficult situation. We're early days of the season. We're third place. I think perspective is he's having this year, whether you like it or not, because there's no fans there to hammer him. So he's got this year. He's got this year, whether you like it or whether you don't.
I don't agree with Matt. I think he'll stay. He won't be gone at Christmas. I think if there is a time that he goes is when we've probably failed to get out of this division, when there's a lot of players out of contract. We've said it before, and it'll be the changing of the guard then.
You mean when he should have gone in March then, when we weren't going to get out of the division?
Look, he should have gone then, but we can all say he should have gone then. He hasn't gone then. He's there now. Like Martin's just said, there's no fans in the stadium to put any pressure on him. No. You know, we can come on here, we can shout,
and we will
every single week, but it's not going to make a shit's worth of difference, really, is it?
But equally, you could flip it round and you could look longer term and say, right, okay, give him this year, load of players out of contract. That means somebody like, let's just pluck a name, Lee Cook, Cowleys, whatever, comes into a squad that's got all of the deadwood out of contract. You've got a blank bit of paper. You can do whatever the heck you want. As opposed to now, where you're coming in mid-season, the expectation is still this. You've still got the bloated squad. So you've got to look longer term sometimes and think, well, okay, we want to get promoted. Of course we do. But if we don't, the manager goes, which he will go if we don't get promoted, and you've got a blank bit of paper.
We had that question, didn't we? We had the question from Terry. We had the question from Terry the other week. Would you take League One without Lambert next season? The championship.
Yeah. Well, in that case, you take the championship every time because then you're in a new league with a blank bit of paper, and you can maybe bring in new players
with an owner who doesn't spend any money.
Yeah. Well, a blank piece of paper would suit Cowley. That's how he put that Lincoln thing together. But I've got a solution to all of this.
Oh, God.
A little bit of hope that could come in for us to reignite that Suffolk spirit. Our mate from Essex Cricket Club, Rich, Derek Bowden, our former CEO, has left Essex, where he turned round a sleeping giant, started winning trophies, promotions, won the title, won the T20, now out of a role. He's left. Get him back. He's worked with Evans before. Get him back in. Steady that shit.
I'll tell you what. What I really liked about Bowden is this. He was a finance guy first and foremost, but he realised your product was on the pitch. So when the manager went to him and said, look, I know we need to sell X, Y, and Z, but I still need X, Y, and Z, he found a way to bring players in. And he found the way to balance the books while giving the manager the tools he needed to do the job. And that's something that's not happened at Ipswich Town for a long time. We've not managed to sell Waghorn and bring in somebody else who can be just as effective.
Stems from the very... Sorry.
Go on, Mike.
Stems from the very beginning when Evans took over, though, didn't it, really? I mean, when he brought in Clegg, right, who was an athletics CEO, completely clueless to football. I spoke to him. I remember going to a Brighton away friendly game. And I'm stood in the Withdean Stadium, coming down after the game. There's Clegg, and I'm saying, is this the type of football that we're going to be playing all year? Because, you know, it wasn't great. We won, and it was a friendly and all that, but it still wasn't great. And then years on, again, we got change of CEO. But, you going back to Lambert. When you talk about Lambert, we've got Stuart Taylor, who's an assistant. Normally, you like I said, to get good management, you've got to not just have the manager. You've got to have the team. You've got to have your good assistant.
That's
coach.
interesting you say that. I read something
about that last night,
Mike.
Sorry?
I read about since Culverhouse has left, Lambert had over a 50% win rate when he had Culverhouse with him.
Yeah.
And since then, I can't, it's about 35%. His win rate is massively down. So you're bang on there. Spot on.
I've been to a few, obviously last year I went to a few games. I was in me brother's, I was in the family stand behind the dugout. And listening to Stuart Taylor, it was like, it weren't just a petulant kid. He was like an angry toddler throwing his toys at a pram every decision he didn't get, constantly shouting at the players, constantly going. And I'm like, that's not a good system. You should be watching the game, shutting your mouth, watching the game, advising Lambert, saying, look, you know, this I don't think this is working. Instead of shouting the odds at adults, yeah, it should be advising, like Culverhouse used to do. You know, I can't think of Burley's assistant, but Burley's assistant used to do that really well. It's just watch the game.
There was Dale Roberts,
and
John
we
Gorman.
used to watch it.
John Gorman was another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuart Taylor, for me, just drives me. Well, don't like him. I don't like what he represents. I don't think he's a very good assistant coach.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think maybe one of the players are now starting to figure that team out. You know, the management and the assistant out. 100%.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, if Culverhouse, I'd have Culverhouse at Ipswich. I think he could do a really good job. I know he's at Kings Lynn. It's a low league side or whatever, but look what he's done there. But again, like you say, you know, there's I'd have the Cowley brothers. 100%. I think that even now they'd do a better job than Lambert. I think I'd be more positive as a fan. I think we all would if we had someone different at the helm right now, because Lambert is just draining the club.
This club has to be promoted this season. This is what people aren't understanding because of the salary cap and the implications that brings. We need to get out of this quickly. If we stay with Lambert too long, you're going to miss good managers that are available. We're going to lose some good players, like the Cowleys, like a Paul Cook, like a Nigel Adkins, like a Nigel Pitt. There's some good play. There's still
Nigel
some good managers.
Adkins has been unemployed for what seems like forever. He'll still be around.
About Lee Johnson.
He'll need
money. Lee Johnson.
Good shout.
Good managers around. We are in the season where they're going to get snapped up. We've already seen Clough go to Mansfield. I wouldn't have minded him at Portman Road.
What about Joey Barton, Matt? Would you take him?
Yeah, I mean, probably. Look what he's doing at Fleetwood. Now, there you go. We're talking about lack of goals at Ipswich. They got in that Callum Camps from Rochdale on a free. He's on 11 goals already.
Then you're talking about recruitment, and this is where it goes back to original issue with Bowden or how Bowden's a plus. It is all part of the same thing, Martin.
Which
is why your next selected manager has to be spot on, because you have to realise what your squad can do and what it can't do. And there's no point bringing in a manager that wants to play completely opposite way, because there's no money there to go and get that box-to-box midfielder or whatever he needs to make his system work. Hurst tried it, and Hurst had to sell half his assets to get the players in to make his system work. That's why we are where we are, because instead of saying, right, I've got Martin Waghorn, I've got Joey Garner, I need a Toto, I need a John Note. I don't know why you'd ever say this.
Garner wanted to go. Waghorn was only there for one season, so I'm not having that. He should have kept them.
They're your best players.
But they wanted to go. No one ever keeps unhappy players at clubs. Doesn't work.
They wanted to better themselves. They realised they could get a better career with another.
So that's not down to Paul Hurst, is it?
I don't know. Is it? I don't know.
Hurst does seem, now we look in hindsight, Hurst did seem to arrive and tear up the rule book at Portman Road and try and put his own stamp on things too quickly, maybe. Too much change too quickly, maybe.
See, I think coming like Caden Jackson, if you had said to him when he first arrived, Caden, we want 8 to 12 goals from you. You're not the number one guy. Don't worry. Just get your feet wet in the championship, settle in. You'd have had a better career from him than you would have done saying, right, Caden, you're the man. Go out there and keep us in the championship. Because you had no chance. You know, there is always an adapting process. A process where you've got to adapt to the style, physicality, players being a bit more wiser to an inside move of pace. you know, it was a silly thing to say, right, new guy, young manager. So whatever manager you do from this point on, and we'll probably have an episode about it dedicated to it when it happens, it has to be the right man with the right squad. And this squad at the moment, I don't know what the way they play, quite frankly. I think it's a little bit...
One goal this season from our strikers in 12 games. Hawkins' header. It's all, isn't it?
It would help if our ball was played forward instead of playing 10 minutes on the back line, passing it back to Holy.
Yeah,
playing to our left back, hoofing it up, and then the right back, hoofing it up. I mean, you know, what happened to... It goes on about all this passing, nice football. Well, the ball's got to go forward for us to actually try and score a goal, not sideways and backwards.
They were chatting about that last night on Quest, Matt. They were on about Portsmouth last night on Quest. Played Crewe yesterday, and they won 4-1 at home. And do you know how much possession they had in that game?
It was like really minimal, wasn't it?
30%. Now, Danny Cowley, he was on there last night. And it doesn't possession. It doesn't matter what possession. It's overrated, isn't it? 100%. Massively overrated.
We've said this before. Our possession stats are inflated because they pass the ball around the back line too much. And Cowley said it on the show last night. Ipswich fans aren't liking the process that is leading to winning.
No. Right. It's over now. We've got to move it on. Mike, we appreciate you as always.
Yeah, cheers, Mike.
Love to you all, guys. Catch you soon, yeah?
Yes.
Mike.
See you, mate. Right. Let's have your media mogul story to round up our show. Hang on. I ain't got the video.
Oh, no.
You didn't get the video? Should we just go into the goat? Should we just go into my goat then?
Hang on. The Media Mogul story in association with Networking 90. Don't be left in the dark. Get networking. Head to www.networking90.co.uk for more information. That's a sponsorship out of the way. So I'm obliged to do it by contractual reasons. So, over to you, Matt.
Should we have my goat then, yeah?
Yes, please.
Yeah, to finish off with my goat. So this week we saw the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, DCMS, announce their £300 million government bailout for sports.
Yep.
And you probably saw a lot of media around this in that football, in terms of League One and League Two, didn't feature. So rugby union's got 135 mil, including 59 million for the Premier League rugby teams. Horse racing, Rich, 40 mil. Non-league football, see National League down, 28 mil. I'm not saying these are bad things, by the way. This is fantastic. Rugby League, 12 mil. Motorsport, so your Silverstones, etc., 6 mil. Tennis, LTA, Lawn Tennis Association, 5 million. Netball's got 4 million. Basketball in the UK, 4 million. Ice hockey, 4 million. Badminton, 2 million. And finishing off with greyhound racing with 1 million. So you're thinking to yourself, where's the EFL money? We ain't featuring in there. And, you know, with clubs have not been able to bring in a match day revenue because of government legislation, they can't have crowds in since March. And then, lo and behold, the DCMS chairman, which is Julian Knight MP, wrote to Richard Master, who is the CEO of the Premier League this week, and said, "We are disappointed that you have not yet come to an agreement that will ensure the survival of football clubs through the current pandemic," meaning the EFL tier. "There is enough money in the game to save football clubs, but we are beginning to doubt whether there is enough leadership to make that happen. We urge you to stop squabbling and come to an agreement. Fans have been waiting too long. We expect and the fans deserve better." So obviously the government has thrown it over to the Premier League saying there's too much money in the Premier League. You should be looking to save these EFL clubs and give them a lifeline. Where probably the Premier League are thinking to themselves, well, the government legislation means that you can't go to the games, therefore they should be bailing them out. And unfortunately, Ipswich and your Accringtons and your Leyton Orients and all that, everyone is stuck in the middle. It's absolutely.
I don't agree with that comment there. Horse racing stinks of dosh. No, it doesn't. You know, they've not been able to have people in. You know, prize money in horse racing has been slashed. It's been slashed in half. So everyone's in the same boat, really struggling.
Unfortunately, we're stuck in the middle where the government has said it's over to the Premier League, and the Premier League are probably saying it's over to the government. And
I think we're okay. We have got a.
They did try to get it through with this project Big Picture, Martin, didn't they? But of course, there were two little clauses in there, like nonsense, like, well, you know, they tried to make it a COVID power grab. Well, you know, we want Premier League B teams to be in the EFL and all that rubbish. It's a nonsense. Someone needs to sort it out very quickly. Otherwise,
so what did you want?
To go to the wall.
So
listen to Darren McAntony's podcast. You know, he hammers them. You know, it shouldn't be just down to the owners, Martin. It shouldn't be down to the owners just because they got a few million. It shouldn't just be down to them to bail out these clubs.
You know, I just think we're living in. You know what? There's people losing their jobs, and we're talking about people who like, Darren McAnthony, who I'm sure, I don't know his wealth. I don't know the guy personally. I'm sure he's a very wealthy guy. Does he need the EFL bailout money? I don't know. I don't know is the answer. Marcus Evans, does he need it? I don't know. Does the Stoke City owners, do they need it? I don't know. We're talking
That's very true around Stoke City. Own Bet365, of course. Yeah, I agree with that. But the fact is, don't look away from the fact that government have stopped us going to the games, which it stops these companies, which clubs are, earning match day revenue, which is the source of their income. Yeah, well, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just disagreeing in the priority list of because there's got to be a priority list, isn't there? And where is football? And obviously, you're seeing it play out. Football is very much at the bottom of that priority list. So, what would you want to happen, Matthew, if you could be the culture secretary? God forbid. What would you see happen? What do you want to happen? I want. Well, I mean, I've always thought, really, having worked in this world, I've always thought maybe the Premier League should be running football, given the exposure and the money it's got and the kind of company.
They could have done. They could have taken that, but them top six wanted so much control, didn't they? They said exactly. You can have this money, but.
I personally feel the government should be bailing us out because they're the reason why we can't go to the games. And don't forget, Boris, I don't want to get too political here, but Boris announced 16.5 billion in defence spending in the week as well. So the money is there from the government. They're just spending it on other things. Because they're looking at football as a very wealthy set of... That's what they're thinking. By the way, boxing's not in there either, weirdly. I don't know why boxing wouldn't have featured in there, the small gyms. Maybe they're seeing them as small companies that are part of the furlough process. As you know, for business ownership, I don't know. But the fact is, someone, either the Premier League or the government, is going to have to set up and help football because we've almost gone 9 months now without revenue, proper income for these clubs. Eric Clapton still thinks the horse racing industry stinks of dosh. I don't know. I can see why it should go. I definitely can. I still always think it's the owner's responsibility. If you own a football club, you own it for good and bad. And that's for any club.
Look, this is unprecedented times, though, isn't it? Yeah. No one ever thought that we wouldn't have fans for. It's going to be over a year, easy, isn't it? No fans this season. They talk about Christmas. I can't see it. No, it's true. But anyway, there could be crowds. Something tells me there could be crowds, maybe experimental crowds in late March, April. Only be 1,000, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So, as we close the show, as Adam Flatt rightly says, shout out to Fabio Wardley for a fantastic bout last night. Matt, talk us through it. You are the boxing.
It was a funny. Well, not Fabio's fault, but it was a weird punch that put Larty down. I don't think that would have knocked out any other heavyweight.
It was the punch before, Matt. It was the punch before. It was the punch before that.
It was weird, but fair play to Fabio. He's flying the flag. He's not had much amateur experience. So hopefully he's going to make a bit of a rumble on the domestic scene and see where he goes from there. Yeah, fair play to him. Well done, Fabio. And if he fancies a spot on the match day ticket, he is more than welcome, Mr. Fabio. Absolutely. We welcome fans.
Don't worry, he follows me, Matt. He follows me on Twitter, mate. Don't worry. I could get him.
You're in with all the stars, you.
A few strings.
Of course he follows you. You beg everyone to follow. Give me a follow, please. Follow me, please.
Don't you start as well?
Well, who else has started?
What do you think is going to happen this week then with Hull? Hull City.
Oh yeah, we've got a game, haven't we? By the way, before we go any further, it's my birthday on Tuesday. So if anybody wants to drop me a couple of quid, that'd be well and truly. It's my birthday. I'm 31 on Tuesday, and I'm doing a show.
31. Remember you were 31, Matt?
I do. Well, I remember being 30. I was in Alicante. Great times.
Instead, I'm spending it with
Amy and Neil.
Neil and Amy, yeah.
That'd be good. They'll have the drinks out. It'd be all good.
Amy said she's going to wash her lucky knickers anyway.
What a thought. So, Hull. Talk to us about Hull then. Come on. Win.
They were good. They were good, weren't they, against MK Dons yesterday? They made the front of the Football League paper, Rip Roaring Tigers, I think the headline was. 1-3-1. I think what we've seen in our recent home performances is going to come home to roost on Tuesday. We've got more injuries. I think we're in trouble this week. I feel like we're in trouble this week.
I've wrote two. What's your side, Matt? Because I've got two wrote down here. I think I've got the side I think Lambert will go with and the side that I would go with.
Go on then. Read them out quick.
So the team I think Lambert will go with, Holy, obviously in goal, Chambers, Wolf, McGuinness, Ward. 3 in midfield, McGavin, Hughes, Lancaster. Judge and Sears, your wide players, Norwood up front. That's what I think he'll go with. My team personally, I'd go 4-4-2. Same back four. I'd have Lancaster on the right. Bennett's, I think he's got to start Bennett's. I think sooner or later, he's coming on for 20 minutes here and there. I'd have Bennett's the other wide player, McGavin and Hughes in the middle, Jackson and Norwood as your front two. Because I think he's running out of midfielders now.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's going to have to change the system. Hopefully, Dobra, he'll come in from the cold, I'd have thought, on the bench.
Still didn't even feature on the bench yesterday, did he?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. What he's going to do is anyone's bloody guess. I don't know. I just think I'm fearing this week. Charlton haven't lost in 7 games.
I'm still going for 9 points from 3 home games.
So am I.
You've had too many of them buds.
Lyndon says, you guys always put on a good show. Great watch. Thank you, Lyndon. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
Curtis, boxing friends. Lambert out from Lambert out. As if you created an account just to put Lambert out. Oh.
I like that.
That must be Matt Phillips. Eric Clacton, last time we played Hull at Portman Road, remember? Curtis, 3-0 loss incoming. Mike Davey, Malik Wilkes versus Toto NTL. I'm heard, and I don't know how true this is, that Toto might be injured. So we shall see. Christopher Martin, they'll be as concerned about playing us as we are them. It will be a tight game. Christopher. No, Chris is right. Lambert out again. 4-4-2 doesn't work. Look at last season. Curtis Yates, is Dobra even training with the first team like Simpson is? Adam Flatt. I've got more chance of starting than Dobra. Adam Flatt, by the way, is on Saturday's show with Jordan. New match day ticket team.
Making some debuts. Fantastic.
They are. Looking forward to that. And Lambert out. Easy to change your name on the account. Fair enough. Right, we're done. We're dusted. We're back Tuesday at 6:30.
Couple of shout-outs.
Go for it. I've got one myself, but go for it.
Pirates Murph 24. Get following him. We're doing the live draw this time next Sunday on the show with Scott Loach. And a big shout out to my mate Martin. He's really he's having a bad time. All three of us know. So big shout out. We're all pulling for him, mate.
Yeah. Shout out Martin. Yeah.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah. Thoughts are with him. Matt, and you got any shouts out before we go?
No shout outs. I'm going to bring this hashtag in this week. Bring back Bowden.
BBB.
I'm in.
Triple
I'm
B.
all in. Get that Suffolk spirit back. Come on. And
I'll give a shout out to one of the other Ipswich Town podcasts, ITFC Unrestricted. I believe Mark's going to take a break. All the thoughts from us, all of us here, are with Mark. I hope everything's well. Enjoy your break and hopefully get you back soon. Because another voice for Ipswich Town is always welcome. Always 100%. Welcome.
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy your break. And get those cables sorted out, man. When I saw that picture of your bedroom, they were all over the shop. That's a fire hazard waiting to happen, that is. As an ex-fire warden of an office building.
Oh.
Did
you have the fluorescence when you had to meet on the pavement?
Well, they gave me fluorescence. I never actually worn the thing. And then they said if you've got to go back into the building if someone's missing. I was thinking, what? I ain't going nowhere near the building if it's on fire. I'm the first one out. But anyway, right. So Tuesday, 6:30. We will see you then with love, with care.
Yeah. Take it easy, everybody.